What's up, Group Coach Nation? Oh my gosh, got Scott Aaron hanging out with us today. And Scott has just launched a book. That's why I asked him to come on here, because his book is actually really interesting and something very near and dear to my heart. How to get leads and sell on LinkedIn. So here's some commonalities Scott and I both have. We both have group coaching models, both have group coaching programs. You all know all we teach is how to do that here on Group Coach Nation. And Scott has done that very, very effectively, multiple groups over multiple years. But the dude's cracked the code on getting freaking leads off of LinkedIn. So here we are, live on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube. Ask questions as we go along. Scott, welcome to the party, man.
Chris, so grateful to be here, and always great to chat with you, and looking forward to diving into anything and everything LinkedIn, and if it revolves around sales, marketing, branding, creating more business for your business, always grateful and happy to talk about it.
Well, here's the name of Scott's book, in case you're wondering. The LinkedIn, I love all rights reserved, book for sales and marketing.
I learned that the hard way with my first LinkedIn book. I had a troll report it because I used the logo in an unauthorized fashion. So they actually discontinued the book, and I had to re-upload it with a different cover. Yeah, I mean, there's haters out there, but it is what it is.
Did you have to go back, and did LinkedIn make you like recall anything?
No. So as long as you put a registered trademark whenever you mention anything about Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, if it's registered trademark, you include that in the body of the book. That way it's protected. You're not unlawfully using someone else's words. But on the cover of my book this time, I do write out LinkedIn, but it's not spelled in the copyrighted capacity that LinkedIn writes it. So it's under, obviously safe provisions there. So, you learn the hard way.
Makes sense to me. What's up, Facebook user? That's Bengay the third, dude. The third, man. It's good to see you, buddy. Thanks for all the thumbs up, man. All right, Scott, let's dive into some stuff here.
Yeah.
Because like leads is the real thing, right? So LinkedIn is kind of unique. Obviously, every platform is unique, but I think the cool thing about this is LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want to go, all of our prospects are everywhere, folks. If you love a platform, go with your platform. But once you follow a model like Scott has that works on LinkedIn, for instance, you can like learn from that and transfer that model to lots of other platforms. Am I right, Scott? The big thing is pick a freaking model first, though, and get really good at that one, and then start adding other platforms, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, it's great to see people popping on here. Hey, Jody, thanks for joining us.
Jody, good to see you. Jody's in my mastermind, by the way, Scott. She runs
awesome.
an ad agency for all kind of paid traffic for coaches, consultants, and she's freaking brilliant at it. One of the few that I trust personally.
Oh, beautiful. So it's such a great point, because what I love about the system that I've created, and it is a system, it is a routine, there is a structure to what I do, and I was actually able to patent that flow, leveraging social media, specifically LinkedIn. But what I tell people all the time, and they ask me this, they said, could I take your strategy and your technique?
Sorry.
Leveraging social media.
Sorry, dude.
I've done that before all the time. Yeah,
You got to pull up Facebook on your phone in order to chat back to people.
And again, I've learned that the hard way too. I always forget. I got to turn the volume down on my phone before I pop it on. Yeah, totally get that.
Keep going. No, you're onto something good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always tell people that, if you can follow the structure that I've created on LinkedIn, they ask me all the time, could this be applicable to Facebook, to Instagram? And the answer is 100% yes, because the way that I teach people how to leverage LinkedIn, it's from a very organic and genuine standpoint, where you are building relationships, you're building trust, you're building rapport, but you're also positioning yourself as the expert in your space. And that's the idea, to show up on social media as the expert in your space, but also as the go-to individual for a specific need that your specific ideal client or demographic market is looking for. So I do follow the same system across all platforms, but I leverage each social media platform differently. The way that I treat LinkedIn is different from the way that I treat Instagram, from the way that I treat Facebook. But the principle, the core value of what I do is streamlined and is very similar. But everyone needs to understand that there's a best practices and a best way to use all three platforms, including LinkedIn.
So set me up with the core value. By the way, folks, I dropped, and let me just copy and drop it again. I dropped the chat a link to Scott's book, so you can just dive deep if you want to. It's just freaking brand new on Amazon. That's so exciting, dude.
Yeah.
Book launches are so fun for all of us who've done. They're just so freaking fun. It's fun to sit there and watch the metrics, watch the numbers. At this moment, Scott is one tick away from first place on the bestseller list on this one. Like, that's freaking amazing. You'll be at number one by the end of the day. Anyway, give us the core value behind like your methodology on marketing and finding leads on LinkedIn. What is that core principle?
So the core principle is human connection. And I think this is something that people forget about. And whenever I'm doing a keynote, whether it's in person or online, I always remind people the greatest marketing tool that we have is sitting in our back pockets at all time. And that's our ability to create authentic and genuine human connection with other people. People always ask me, how do you guys, my wife and I, continue to grow and scale your business? It's because all we do is build relationships. All we do is look to establish rapport and trust and credibility with other individuals where there's referrals out there. Prime example, I interviewed this amazing woman by the name of Kelly Smith. She's a podcast coach. She had me on her podcast. She actually was a guest on mine as well, much like you were, and your episode's coming out in a couple of weeks, which I can't wait for my
thanks
audience
for having me on
to
your
hear.
show. Yeah.
And 2 days after I was on Kelly's podcast, she sent me a referral. And it was one of her clients who, in conversation, was asking, I want to start leveraging LinkedIn. I don't even know where to begin. And she goes, well, I just so happened to interview a LinkedIn expert. Let me connect you guys. And 2 days later, she hired me one-on-one to do some consulting with her. And that's because of the rapport and the trust. And I take away the ickiness of sales and selling because it doesn't have to be icky and weird. People just make it icky and weird. If you go into the relationship building aspect of any client, potential client that is, any lead or potential lead, from the notion of I'm going to build a relationship with this person first and foremost before I even talk about what it is that I do, how I do it, what programs I have. I'm just going to look eye to eye with this person and kind of find out from a very genuine perspective, what are their pain points? What are they struggling with? What are they looking to improve within their business or the company or the organization that they're growing? And of those pain points, can I fill it with something that I can offer? And that way you're building that bridge, or you're filling that gap or that hole or void that person may be having in their business. So when you go after the relationship aspect of sales instead of just selling and pitching, because Chris, a lot of people that are new into the coaching game or group coaching game, it's almost like you're not desperate for sales, but you're going to do whatever you can just to put what you have in front of people. But if you're not listening to what that person's needs are and what they're saying, and you're just thinking about, okay, where can I jump in here and talk about my group coaching program? Where can I jump in and talk about, the courses that I have? Right. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So the more that you listen, the less that you talk, the more likely you're going to build a great relationship. And the person, if they're a good fit, they're going to want what it is that you have to offer.
Couldn't agree more. If I can just highlight this, Scott, it's so rare to hear somebody say this. We always hear it, but it's rare to see somebody who actually believes it and lives it. Let me say it that way. The relationships are everything. We all think it's the funnel, it's the copy, it's the VSL, it's the email sequence, it's the direct message pattern, it's the whatever. But if all of those things are devoid of the real relational connection, then they won't work for you. And copying someone else's email sequence and someone else's VSL and funnel and website and whatever else, the reason that doesn't work for most of us, most of our listeners is included, is because it's not my relationship with that prospect or audience member that's getting the success. It's the one I copied. That person already has a relationship, and that's what's working. And me copying that is just, it's not like it's like that awkward stage in middle school where you're trying to be cool, like the one or two cool kids, but you just don't have what they got. And for some reason, when we get to be adults, what people have that are successful is the relationships, not the cool shoes. It's the relationships.
Yep. Well, you made a really good point, and you hear these people that talk about, you're one funnel away, right? You're one email sequence away. But what's not discussed is how long have you been nurturing those people on that email list or in that email sequence. So prime example, not to toot my own horn, but as we're on here live, my book has hit number 2 in the sales and selling category on Amazon. And crazy enough, it's, right below me, and spot number 5 and 6 is Donald Miller, who's one of my heroes, who
amazing,
has the story brand method, marketing made simple, business made simple. And what I'll say is that, the reason why I've sold hundreds of copies in the first 24 hours is, number one, I didn't just spring this on my network. I've actually been building up the release of this new book over the last 30 days. But number 2 is I've been nurturing and building trust and rapport with the connections that I have, where if I'm going to put something out there and someone really resonates with my messaging, if someone really resonates with the way that I do business and go about business, and they look to myself and my wife for inspiration, motivation, and hope that they can grow a great business as well, but they're also seeing me as that LinkedIn expert, this being my 3rd LinkedIn book, they're going to press that purchase button when it comes down to the day that book comes out. And it's the catalytic effect of the time, the energy, and the effort of years and years and years of nurturing. I'm not an overnight success. That's what people think. They and you hear this analogy all the time. People see the glory, but they don't know the story behind all of it. This is 25 years in the making. I started in entrepreneurship at 18 years old. I've made millions. I've lost millions. I've had to file for personal bankruptcy. There were a lot of roller coaster rides involved in this, but it's all led me to where I am right now. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I wouldn't be able to write the books that I write if it wasn't for the experience that I had to grow through and learn from. So the notion that, and I saw this horrendous ad on Facebook the other day, it was and LinkedIn, it was 6 weeks to 6 figures, which is the biggest bunch of BS I have ever seen, because here's what people need to understand. I did the math on this, right? So $100,000 broken down over 6 weeks is $18,500 a week for 6 straight weeks. Now, you're signing up for this course. You're telling me by the end of day 7, you're going to have made $18,500? And the fact is, people are, entrusting people that really don't have a proven concept, and to think that you can make $100,000 in 6 weeks. These are the marketing tactics that drive people like you and I crazy, because, Nancy and I have had multiple 6-figure launches. But you have to understand, we earned the right to achieve that success for the last number of years that we've been building and nurturing the connections that we have. So it wasn't like we just launched some program to a bunch of cold leads and they're like, oh, you know what? They look like nice people. I'm going to spend money on them. It's the fact that it's the rinse, wash, and repeat. It could be the fourth, fifth, sixth time that person has seen us on a training where they're like, you know what? Now's the right time to pull the trigger. So to think that any business, any coaching program, anything that you do is going to be an instantaneous result, you are sadly mistaken. It takes years and years of practice. It takes years and years of nurturing, and it takes years and years of being consistent where you're always going to be visible and present to those that are ready for what you're offering at the time that it is a best fit for them.
Absolutely. We could just drop the mic right there. But here's the thing. For most of us listening in, we might have 10 years, 5 years, 10 days of work and relationships in our wheelhouse right now. And we might not have that depth of relationship that you have. And we also might have some big, scary bankruptcy or huge business mistakes or whatever back there. That's okay. That stuff is actually the fuel for the fire, both personally, because nothing like being an entrepreneur when your back's against the wall. You got to like get something done. I don't know about you, but I perform the best in that scenario. And also from a marketing and outreach and a relationship standpoint, if you're just honest about that stuff, people are like, oh my gosh, thanks for being real. Like Scott, you've gone down the bankruptcy path before. I've come really close 2 or 3 times. I'm so amazed I haven't had to pull the actual trigger. And that stuff, you're right. That's how I know how to help people. But I think more importantly, it's how I know, like, man, where somebody is right now could really suck. Like, how can I be there with you? And for all of us as marketers, we got to like be with our people.
Well, I think it's a matter of being relatable. And the one thing that my wife and I pride ourselves on is we're not those types of coaches and consultants where we're so far ahead that we're kind of just sipping our margaritas and just chilling right now. So Nancy and I have the same belief that the pinnacle of one mountain is the valley of the next. So we're all, and I said this to her, we were, taking a drive the other day over the weekend. And I said, you know what I love about us? I said, we're never standing still. We're always moving forward in some way, shape, or form, whether it's coming up with a new, course, a new business idea, a new investment strategy. We're never complacent. We're never just twiddling our thumbs thinking about, oh, what should I do now? We're always in a forward progressive motion. And that's what our clients love about us, because, the strategies that we teach, whether it's in, my wife's coaching, my coaching, our coaching that we do together in our mastermind, we've been there, we've done that, and we're still doing it. We are in the trenches with all of our clients, all of our students. Like, we are there. Prime example, we help people launch and grow their podcast. We help people, write their foundational self-published book and how to get it out there. So the process that we walk people through, I went through in launching this book, because I've been telling them, listen, I'm doing a new book launch strategy. You better believe that I've been taking diligent notes, and I've been, writing down all of the things that I've done leading up to and during the launch, which, guess what? In turn, we're going to show all of you how to do the same thing when you're ready to self-publish your book. So all we're doing is building paths and then inviting people to walk down with us.
Perfect.
And I think that is the sign of a great coach, great program creators, because our number one goal, the money's a side effect, right? The money shows up when the results and the impact are felt by those that you work with. So our number one goal is to help as many entrepreneurs, as many business owners as possible, love the business that they have, but also grow a mighty but small business where they have very high revenue, very low overhead, where they're spending more time living and less time having to work. And that's our
Mhm.
big goal. And it's what drives us because, we're still moving down that path and we want to invite as many people as possible to walk down that path with us.
That is a beautiful thing. Thank you for doing that. I think that's a sign of a really great leader too,
Thank you.
especially in a world that we live in today where everything changes so fast. Truly, the strategy we had 18 months ago is different than the one we at Group Coach Nation, me and my team, we change our strategies ever so slightly, but diligently change strategies once a quarter because it's different. And it's really unfortunate though, because it's hard to lean on a 5-year-old marketing book. If it just talks about the core relationships, that's enduring.
Right.
But when it comes to the real tactics, it's nice to have someone like you, Scott, who's actually like, I'm just going to go blaze this trail again and then bring you along the next day because this is a fresh trail. Let's get that one. We'll do another fresh trail in a quarter.
I'm so glad you said that because again, people ask me all the time, why did you write a second edition to your first book? Well, I said I would be doing a disservice to all of those that have been following me these last number of years if I continued to let them read a book that was 4 years old and out of date.
Yeah.
What was talked about in that book is not prevalent right now. So I declared to myself that every 2 years, I'm going to release a new LinkedIn book that's going to have all the updates and all the newest things. So I released this book in 2022. There's going to be a third edition in 2024 and so on and so on. Because,
Great.
If you're reading a book that, yes, there are some books out there where the core principles never stray, they never change.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're reading a social media tactic type book, or you're reading some sort of, email sequence type book, or a funnel type book, or any marketing type book, if it's not somewhat current, meaning the last, I would say 12 to 18 months, you may have to start looking at something a little bit more relevant because to think in the last 18 months, online marketing hasn't changed, social media hasn't changed, email marketing hasn't changed. You're just kidding yourself. So
Right.
some of the core principles, yes, they may be relevant. They may still be relatable, but you always have to be upgrading your knowledge by looking at something that is very current, very real. And the same thing goes, I have a virtual course that people can take themselves through called LinkedIn Accelerator. And that course is updated every year. So any student that I have in there that purchased the course at some point in their journey, they have access to all of the updates that continue to roll out. Because again, if I was selling a course that was based on using LinkedIn from 5 years ago, I can't do that. That's
Right.
from a genuine standpoint, from an authenticity standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I would be doing my clients and myself a disservice. That's why I take the time to, at the end of every year, update that course so everyone is caught up to date. They're constantly understanding what needs to be done. And the same goes for educating yourself in any way, shape, or form. Chris, why do you think people continue to rejoin mastermind after mastermind? Like, we have people that have now gone into their second year in our mastermind because you know what? We're constantly updating what we're teaching in our group coaching program.
Same here. Yeah.
So
Why would they?
just
Yeah.
like
It's fresh.
just like you guys,
Yeah.
you'd be missing out. So if you go somewhere else, you may not be getting the most up-to-date or relevant information. And if you're part of a group coaching program like Chris is, why would you ever want to leave? You know he's going to update some way, shape, or form the strategies and the techniques of what you all need to do to grow your group coaching program. It's almost like a non-negotiable. Once you're in, why would you ever leave?
I know. And you get the community. Yeah. It's just masterminds are the best. Oh my
They
gosh.
are.
I'm so glad you guys do that. So glad you offer that to the world. Scott, we got to go in a second. Everybody, the book is the LinkedIn book for sales and marketing, right there on the screen. If you're listening, the LinkedIn book for sales and marketing. I dropped the link in the chat earlier. I'll drop it again straight to the Amazon page. Scott, we got 2 minutes left. Is there
Yeah.
any like last word of wisdom you just want to leave with? Is like if we're trying to figure out how do I get my leads for my group coaching programs on LinkedIn, any last little nugget?
Well, first read the book, and the great thing
Obviously.
about the book is I'm doing a launch this week. The Kindle's only 99 cents. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's completely free. The paperback is only $3.99. And if you leave a genuine 5-star rating and review, and also post the purchase of your purchase of the book and tag me on social media, I'm giving away Amazon gift cards, free coaching sessions, access to my LinkedIn course, Beats by Dre headphones, a ton of great stuff just for supporting this book. But the one thing that I want people to know is there's different arms of your business. The lead generation arm of your business is probably the most vital. You could have a rock solid marketing strategy, a rock solid email sequence strategy, but if you're not generating leads that are funneling into one of those two things, you can't expect your business to grow and your revenue to rise. So when you can follow a strategy like the one that I've created on LinkedIn that teaches you exactly how to generate leads every single day on the platform that in turn can generate sales into your business each and every week, each and every month, each and every year, why would you stray from that? Again, LinkedIn is 277% more effective for organic lead generation, and it's the number one place to go to really generate those B2B leads that we're looking to fill our group coaching programs. And the strategy is outlined from A to Z in this new book, and I cannot wait for people to get their hands on it.
Let's end it right there. That is so straightforward. Get the book, folks. The LinkedIn book for sales and marketing. This was not meant to be a book commercial. Folks, he didn't pay me for this. I literally just bought my own copy a minute ago. He didn't even give me a stinking free copy. Come on. No, get the freaking book, because why not? Like, get the leads, guys. It's all about the leads, which makes it all about the relationships. Scott, thank you so much. Dude, keep crushing it. Man, I really just appreciate you being here and adding like legit value.
Well, Chris, I appreciate you and looking forward to continuing collaborating. And thank you again for the opportunity.
You bet we will. See you at the #1 spot here in a day or so. I'm so excited for you,
Absolutely.
dude.
Thank you.